chapter portrays the practical experience of a mother, Mrs. Pearson. On a daily basis, her kids disrespect and disregard her. In her own home, she was treated as a slave. Thus, she felt a lot of ignorance and embarrassment every day, not only from her daughter Doris and son Phil, but also from her husband George Pearson, who has completely turned a blind eye from his wife. Mrs. Pearson's life turns when she meets Mrs. Fitzgerald, a fortune teller, and discusses her family members and their terrible behavior. She tells Mrs. Fitzgerald everything about her family behavior. Moreover, Mrs. Fitzgerald, a strong and sinister personality, recommends her to exchange personalities.
So, as to teach her family a good lesson, at first Mrs. Pearson did not agree, but after some encouragement, she agrees to switch bodies. After that, Mrs. Fitzgerald casts a spell and swaps her personality with Mrs. Pearson. In a matter of seconds, their personalities switch, and Mrs. Pearson, who was calm and composed, is now smoking and drinking, and Mrs. Fitzgerald is now sitting ideal. Scene changes, and now Mrs. Pearson is in her home, and Doris enters home. She hands her a dress and asks her to iron as she has to go on a date with her boyfriend Charlie Spence. Also, she even objects her mother's smoking, and when she asks her, Mrs. Pearson replies very harshly and advises her to do her work herself. Further, she makes fun of her boyfriend.
Afterwards, Doris feels miserable and shamed and starts crying when her mother insults and rebukes her. After this, her son Cyril enters, asks his mother hurriedly if his tea is ready, on which Mrs. Pearson refuses and advises him to prepare it himself. After seeing her mother's reaction and her sister crying, he raises his voice. Also, calls Mrs. Fitzgerald an old hag, on which Mrs. Pearson instructs him to mind his language. When the kids talk about being worn out after work, she makes it very clear to both of them that they will all work equally from that day onwards, and she will not work at weekends and enjoy with her friends. At that point, Mr. Pearson enters the house and expresses his surprise on seeing her wife drinking and smoking. He objects Mrs. Pearson, makes him realize that if he can drink, then she can too.
Further, he tells him that instead of spending his time with her wife, he is spending time with people who are making fun of him behind his back. Mrs. Pearson, on seeing her family insult, asks Mrs. Fitzgerald to stop all this. However, she doesn't let her speak until she teaches all of them a good lesson of respecting and honoring their mother. Soon after, they switch personality again, and after that, the son, daughter, and husband learn their lesson and start supporting their mother and wife. Conclusion of Mother's Day Summary. Through the Mother's Day summary, the writer wants to say that we all should respect, care, and help our mother for all the hardship she does for us.